In this new age, technology is important for life as we know it to drive economies, improve education, and improve communication. Yet, millions worldwide are left out of this digital revolution due to lack of access to technology and the internet. This digital divide hampers progress and widens inequality. Welcome to Hude Hour on Hude Network, where we break down happenings in the humanitarian and development space. I am Amadine Ogbewe.
And I am Joan Eze. You're welcome. It's good to have you. One of the critical targets of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 9 is to build resilient infrastructure and promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization, which includes bridging the digital divide.
Today, we'll delve into the technological disparities around the world, focusing on efforts to close the gap and provide universal access to technology and the internet. We'll also highlight key global stories addressing digital inclusion. But first, here are our top headlines. EIB lends 350 million euros to expand broadband in rural Germany. Sub-Saharan Africa faces major internet connectivity challenges. And Ghana launches free roaming initiative with Benin and Togo. We'll dive deeper into this after the break. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Digital inclusion is now at the forefront of global development agendas. It is necessary to achieve equity in education, employment, and healthcare, especially as the world becomes more digitally dependent. Over the past 5 years, internet penetration has grown rapidly, but 2.6 billion people, that's about one third of the global population, still do not use the internet. Most of these individuals live in rural and remote areas, particularly in least developed countries, landlocked developed countries, and small island developing states. Addressing this issue will require significant investment from both the public and private sectors to ensure everyone can get online.
The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development highlights the importance of digital equity in multiple goals, particularly in goals 4, 5, 8, and 9. Access to technology isn't just a luxury anymore, it is a necessity to create inclusive societies, improve economic outcomes, and boost global connectivity.
Now, according to the International Telecommunication Union, the ITU, over 90% of people use the internet in 2022 in high income countries, compared to just 1 in 4 in low income countries. Additionally, 850 million people lack any form of identification, further complicating digital access. I'll explore these statistics and more after the break. Stay with us. Our first news item. The European Investment Bank has announced a major step towards closing the digital divide in rural Germany. The bank is lending 350 million euros to fiber broadband provider Deutsche Glasfaser to expand high-speed internet access to 460,000 homes and businesses in underserved rural areas. The project aims to provide internet speeds of up to 10 gigabytes per second, far surpassing the average speed of 100 megabits per second in most European countries. Deutsche Glasfaser's network expansion is expected to benefit local economies, improve job prospects, and enhance to digital services like remote work and education. This initiative, supported by EU's Invest EU program, will help Germany meet its digital strategy targets, with plans to connect over 3 million households by 2026. The long-term goal is to provide gigabit speed internet to all households by 2030. Deutsche Glasfaser CEO Andreas says that the expansion will make rural areas more competitive and bring cutting-edge connectivity to consumers and businesses alike. Well, that's Germany. Germany is one of the powers, one of those who are very much advanced. And they still have rural areas in need of more broadband development. And gigabytes per second, that is so far and above what we're used to. And I think that it just goes to show that even when you already have it, It never stops. Improvement continues. And this is why developing countries need to at least get to a bare minimum so they can compete with persons who happen to be in this place who benefit and be on the same stage with them on a global level.
Yeah, even in the rural areas, for them to bring it to that particular area, it's for me, it's the right decision to take because they will be at a competitive edge with the urban areas, and they'll bring businesses, like they'll become attractive because when you have something very good going on in a trenchy area, people would tend to want to find out what is happening there, and of course, it will boost the local economy in Germany. All right, let's quickly move straight to our next news item that we have. Internet, a new report from the Global System for Mobile Communications, GSMC, has highlighted major mobile internet connectivity issues in sub Saharan Africa, where millions remain offline. According to the report, people in rural areas are 28% less likely to access mobile internet compared to those in urban regions. Women are also disproportionately affected, being 15% less likely than men to connect to mobile internet. By the end of 2023, nearly 4.3 billion people globally will use the internet through smartphones. But in sub Saharan Africa, around 20% of users still rely on outdated 3G devices or feature phones, a number that climbs to nearly two-thirds in some rural areas. The report pinpoints key barriers to mobile internet access in sub Saharan Africa, including the high cost of smartphones. An entry level smartphone can cost nearly an entire month's income for the poorest 20% of the population. For women, this expense represents a staggering 24% of their monthly income compared to just 12% for men. To tackle these challenges, the report emphasizes the need for increased collaboration between government, mobile network operators, and international organizations to help bridge the digital divide in this region. Okay, it's still talking about women and how they should be included, and of course, how they are suffering and while they are not part of the whole digital equity. There is no simultaneous involvement with women, but it's looking like, and what we just read is showing that women are earning lesser and they don't even have direct access to this internet connectivity, which is not really funny at all.
Indeed, in the middle of the digital divide, there's another divide between men and women. And also, the issue of affordability is a real problem there, and I think it's something that should also be looked into. All right, now we'll go on a short break. When we return, we'll delve into more aspects on the matter. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Now, to our final news item, Ghana has officially launched a bilateral free roaming initiative with Benin and Togo, allowing citizens from these countries to use mobile services without incurring international roaming charges. This announcement follows a similar agreement Ghana made with Cote d'Ivoire in February 2024. Under this new initiative, subscribers from Togo and Benin visiting Ghana will not face roaming fees and can make calls to Ghana at local rates while in their home countries. Ghana's Deputy Minister for Communications and Digitalization, Charles Achimapong, emphasized that this initiative promotes seamless connectivity for West African citizens, eliminating the need for multiple SIM cards and reducing the burden of high roaming charges. He added that the initiative reflects a shared vision for West Africa where borders should not hinder communication, business, or social interactions. This effort is part of the Economic Community of West African States, or ECOWAS, which aims to create a single trade bloc and enhance economic cooperation among the 15 member states. That is the initiative that is being championed by ECOWAS, and it's almost like an offshoot of what we have been hearing about the AFCTA. Africa needs to be more connected, and it shouldn't cost as much as things where we see that between Africa and outside the world, we have things being cheaper than between Africa as a continent. So it's the initiative or the idea to create connection at low cost or almost at a free level will ensure more connectivity, which is all we're talking about here. And this aspect is on mobile services particularly. So let's see if more states can come into the fold and we can move from West Africa to actually Africa as a whole.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct.
All right, that's how we end this segment of the program. We'll take a quick break now. When we return, we'll be joined by a guest to do justice to the matter. He is Stephen Edache Paul. He's the director, Startup Grind Abuja. He will be joining us to do some justice to the issue of digital inclusion. Don't go anywhere. You don't want to miss this. Stay with us. Every day, amazing stories of hope and tenacity unfold across the globe. On Hude Hour, we dive into these inspiring tales and discuss the vital work being done in the humanitarian and development space. Humanity has never faced a shortage of challenges, yet we rise stronger through teamwork and determination. Though these remedies are often underreported, on Hude Hour, we advocate sustainable solutions. We bring you the latest and most impactful news on how lives are being changed. We engage with young change makers and experts who provide valuable insights into relief efforts and the challenges faced by local communities through a global perspective. Join us every Wednesday by 8 a.m. on Hude Network's YouTube channel as we embark on this journey of positive change.
Hey everyone, let's face it, our world today experiences numerous challenges. And guess what? Our community isn't off the hook either. Most of the world issues are either not talked about enough or never talked about at all. But here on Timeline, we've got you covered. We dive deep into issues that affect us every day, leaving behind footprints of wisdom, knowledge, and solutions. Think of it like a roadmap that keeps you on the track for success. So buckle up, because in this new season of Timeline, we're taking another trip through the past, the present, and navigate into a more promising future. Again, we're talking solutions, people, and let's make one thing clear. This is not your average blah 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 convo. This is real talk with a side of inspiration and a sprinkle of wow. I never thought about it like that. I'm your host on this impactful ride. Together, we'll tackle the tough stuff, laugh a little, and find ourselves on the path to positive change. So what are you waiting for? Season 2 of Timeline will be loaded. Let's get started. Hop in, and let's drive straight into the heart of issues shaping our world. Let's go. Oh, one more thing. Hit that subscribe button and let's take this ride together.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is still Hude Hour on Hude Network. We've been having a discussion on digital inclusion, and that is closing the digital divide and ensuring internet connectivity for all. We've been joined now by a tech expert. He is Stephen Edache Paul. He's the director of Startup Grind Abuja. He joins us now to do justice to the matter. Welcome to the program.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for
Good to
having
have
me. Thank
All
you
right.
so much.
So let's start from the basics. What are the barriers? What is causing this digital divide where we have almost 1/3 of the population being excluded from internet connectivity?
Thanks so much for the question. From ITU, when they published their data sources last time, we have the data saying that 5.6 billion people have access to the internet, while having about 2.6 billion people who are not having access to this internet access and all. We'll talk about digital divide, talk about when there's a wide gap between numbers of people who have access to this technological devices. Okay, who have access to these technological devices, and also people who are also using these essential tools effectively. Because not everyone have access to it, but not everyone are using it effectively. So they're also part of the those people who don't have
Do
like
not have access.
who needs like filling the gap as well.
Mm.
So we talk about this, a lot of factors come into play. Digital literacy counts because when people don't have the right digital and the skill sets, they fail to effectively use these devices. They have access to the internet, they have access to smartphones, they lack the essential skills. They find it difficult to effectively use it.
What of those
And they were
who don't have access in the first place?
who don't have access to the first place, they it's
The
due
reasons
to
for it.
yeah, it's due to a lot of things. Like we talk about infrastructure, right? Talk about affordability. We're not able to manufacture our own devices. We're not able to tailor down the costs to our citizens, like tailor the costs so that allow people citizens of this country to effectively afford and pay, small amount of money to be able to get these devices. When the cost of producing these things are high, the importation or whatever things, whatever factor counts, we find very difficult to raise funds to be able to buy them. And government, I don't know if they are doing it to subsidize the rate at which people have access to smart devices. And not everyone, because of lack of knowledge as well, they don't see the need to acquire these devices as well. So it's one of the reasons why people don't have access to it.
Okay, the gap between the rural and the urban areas based on the digital equity, it cannot be overemphasized. What is the hope for the rural areas to get access, like in bridging the gap between these parts, for them to have access to the internet connectivity and all that?
Okay, that's an important question actually because when you look at the rural area, almost every high income countries, like let's say countries that are generating high income, they still have rural area that are not being that don't have access to this internet infrastructures. However, there was this project at the EU then to provide internet infrastructures to these rural areas in high income countries. However, for us in Nigeria and developing countries, we feel that a lot could be done. A lot could be done through private public partnership. There is a PPP and the likes, and the hope for them, I would say, a lot has been put in place in the last few decades to support these people from rural area. Take for instance the Facebook Basic, that is if you're using MTN, Airtel, or the likes, you are able to have access to Facebook free of charge. And in Kenya, we have Google Loan, allowing people in rural area to have access to these devices. So a lot is being put in place by. I also got the data from Internet Society. They have a foundation that supports internet access in rural areas as well. So they put out if what's it called call for applications from NGOs to apply to be able to like support and the vision to provide infrastructures to this rural area. Also, the federal government of Nigeria as well. There's a recent publication in digitalizing and connecting the entire um, everyone in Nigeria together to these infrastructures.
I think maybe we need to take a step back. Those are wonderful initiatives, I
Initiatives, yeah.
guess, and it's good for people to know about that. But let's first talk about the importance or the relevance. When you were talking earlier, you mentioned you don't know if it's being taken seriously here or in some places. So I think that's the first thing to start. When usually we talk about SDGs, to an extent, people can easily see how it is directly keyed into their lives. Okay, health for all. We know that we all need health. You talk about education and all of that. But this is actually part of some of the sub SDGs. So the question now is, what is the potential? What are we missing out when we don't have access to the internet and other digital services?
I'll say we are missing out on quite a lot of things, right? Because what keeps us underrepresented for so many years is because we lack these infrastructures.
When you say we, you're referring to
We, Africa, I was the coach, I'm African, my
okay,
family
oh,
to do
okay,
so,
all right,
and
all right.
everyone, just everyone,
You mean
everyone,
develop? Okay, all right.
developing countries, I would say, because when they are not well connected, when they are not well educated about it, or when they are not informed, or when they are all misinformed, it keeps us in that phase of, these people are not seeing the light yet, so they remain like that. So without anything we give them, it's fine. But when we have these infrastructures in place, it takes us there. And sorry, your question again. I guess I missed out on something.
No, you did get it. But I guess what I would like to know is something I know interests a lot of people that makes them understand easily is the money.
Yeah.
Where is the money in this? Is there potential?
Okay,
what
yes.
does internet, social media, digital services, what does it lead to in terms of economic growth? Because some people want to trust in what they can hold and the things they've known for ages, especially rural communities who don't really fancy these
Not familiar
foreign
with it.
things
Yeah.
that might have these conspiracy theories around them. So, what are they losing economically when we don't have access or access isn't created?
Okay, they're missing out on a lot of match. They can't match with the global community. When you're not matching with their economical goods, you are still referred to developing countries. But when you're well informed and provide the right tools, you'll be able to measure. So you're also missing out is you're not part of the high income countries. You're not part of the should I say the growing or fast growing countries with a young what's it called fastest economy or something like that. And earlier you mentioned XDG, right? So when we talk about SDG, it's for all. And by 2030, I guess we're going to the stakeholders involved in creating that agenda will have to sit and review how it's been in the last couple of years. And stakeholders, talking about SDG, it requires stakeholders to actively play in each of these track of SDG. We talk about SDG 4, SDG 5, SDG 8, and 9. Not everyone is well informed about SDGs. And we have more of sensitization programs on SDG lately. We don't have more of execution. We have people executing what they are sensitizing people on, people, change makers in this rural area, making changes, causing changes in different areas. Just to point back, I was in Rwanda last year for Unleash Rwanda. So it's an innovation lab for SDG, where they gather over 1,000 talents all over the world to a particular location. And it's a 1 week long program here, incubation program, and it lasted for it also stayed between, I guess, early December, that was last year, and people from all over the world, they came into the country, they flew in, divided into different tracks. I was part of the 4, 8, and 9 tracks, and that was under quality education and the likes, and we're just working on projects like that for 1 week long. We're given a playbook, we followed the playbook down, and amazingly, on the final day of pitch, we were asked to pitch. Unknowing to us, the president of Rwanda was there in person, and out of this track, these tracks are like into 7 tracks, and each of these tracks focusing on different SDGs. Yeah, so on the final day, seven teams were selected from each of these tracks. There were many, so 17 were selected from each of these tracks, and the president was there on the final day of the pitch, and one of the requirements is they're going to select 4 best solutions. And that is the most innovative solution, the most sustainable, the most they're like that, sir.
Yeah.
So as it was, my team developed the most innovative, and that was first time to be a part of say a group portrait with a president. So it's the first time like that. And after living there, it changes my mindset about developing, solutions for rural area, because in the playbook that we're given playbook that narrowed down to the root cause of the problem. When you're asking yourself, why is this happening? If you ask yourself about why 7 times, you get to the root cause of the problem. So over there, what we focused on was how we could support women in Sudan who are victims of gender-based violence. How we could support them with digital skills and all. So when we narrowed it down, we find that it's from the background, like from the roots. So a lot needs to be done from the roots. And if we don't have talents like us who are out there advocating and also doing something in that regard, we will still be behind when they're reviewing. Nigeria will still be far behind. So let's say Africans or some countries in Africa will be far behind when it comes to the review.
All right. I know you've piqued John's interest. I'm about to,
Exactly.
about to question you on that. But just quickly, I just add a comment that what you just said now actually exemplifies how digital access actually helps all the other SDGs. Even if we can't pull out one particular SDG for it, it is what is amplifying all the rest. For you to have such an event where it's being used to, put solutions into every other thing. So I just want to add that. John now has a question on gender.
Okay, yeah, you talked about, let's talk about the disparities now, gender disparity. We all know that women are seen as the people behind. So
they call it local vessels.
Exactly. So how can we be at the forefront for women to fully participate and involve in the whole digital equity? Yes, that's the question.
So one thing I do tell women who are out there thriving hard is that it's not bragging when it's based on facts. That is, whatever you're doing in this field to exempt yourself from people who are not, or people who are still wallowing in the notion that we are considered weaker vessels. Some people don't see themselves as weaker vessels. They're out there. So most times they feel less motivated to keep pushing in this light. And when I see people like that, I do reach out to them and to acknowledge their accomplishment and also celebrate with them. Because one, it's not bragging if it's based on facts. And I'll continue to encourage them to the fact that accomplishments do not speak for themselves. So when they are playing active role in this field, they shouldn't fall back from celebrating and making sure that accomplishments are recognized. So for women who are playing active role in this, they have more opportunities and more edge than us, because when we look at women who are more self-promoting often, everything they do, they are more like ahead of others, like that. So for women, the action point will be, what are you doing differently? And if you have something you're doing differently and you have a vision, clarity, and everything in mind, I will advise to keep moving forward and also seeking solutions from different people.
But are there organizations that are there to support women only? I'm not trying to be biased, but are there organizations there to support women in tech or something like that?
Yes. Amazingly, these communities or these organizations have been founded by men. So it's not a women thing. Of course, we are giving support to you guys to make sure you're up and running, or you're up and grinding. And yes, there are many communities, there are many organizations that support women. We know about Shikod Africa, supporting women, usually girls' child, to embrace this digital literacy. And every year they celebrate the remarkable ones among them, providing them with essential tools like laptops, data subscriptions, and the likes. We also have Women in Tech, an initiative
I want to cut you short there.
Okay.
Speaking on providing women with laptop and other gadgets, there are socio-cultural, will I say,
biases, right?
Exactly. That as a woman, you are not meant to hold some gadgets. It's supposed to be for your husband. Let me give you an instance where somebody comes to the house and asks a woman, okay, can you give me your number? And she was like, no, I don't have a phone. If you want to reach me, go through my husband. What are you doing? What's that strategy that you're doing to make sure that women are really having access to the laptops that you're giving to them?
Okay, when one initiative they do sometimes is that when they are able to find someone, the men who are not in the know of why women should be playing active role in tech, we reached out to them and host engaging section to sensitize them on how women are driving the wheels in the global market, and then help them to shape in their mind that okay, there's sort of see reasons why the women under them could be part of the initiative. So it's not a hard thing, because this cultural bias is stronger in some parts of our nation, and the only thing we can always keep doing is this sensitization programs helps, and also some of the programs, the outreaches we do host also helps in making men see the reasons why their wife or their girl child should be out there promoting the gospel of tech.
Okay, sorry, Amadi. Let me just ask this question before he takes over. All right. During when you were explaining, you were answering based on the barriers. You mentioned something about people have access to this equipment or these gadgets, the digital whatever, and the digital internet connectivity and all the gadgets. While some people who still have access to it do not have the skill, in quote, to handle it. What's the strategy, or what's the policy to make sure that these people can control it?
Yes, I would say one is due to peer pressure among the youth. You see them embracing new gadgets, spending a huge amount of money to get these gadgets, and at the end not be able to use it. We have a case where I was working earlier before now. We have a case of someone who working to high jump with iPhone 14 Pro Max, and we have to lecture him on how to use the mouse.
Wow.
Yeah, a young lad walked in and he couldn't know how he couldn't know how to navigate, with the mouse pad. So and it's a bad thing among the youths. Like nowadays, you see them embracing different tools, different gadgets, and they are unable to know to effectively use them. And then sometimes they leave the young ones, the ones that are unable to afford it, while knowing that I wish I could afford this. If I can afford this, I know what I can do with it. Especially people who are into phone photography, they're like, oh, I like that gadget, it's good, but it's just wasting. The gadget is just there, but just not using to shoot any content, it's not going out and everything. So one thing is peer pressure. We're able to tame that, and also being able to tame the young ones that it's not until you get that gadget that you want before you get started in this tech thing. You can start where you are. Could be the smallest. My first laptop, I tell you what it is, you'll be amazed by that. But the one I'm using now, you can't compare to what I was using then. But then I never in any way wallowed behind my peers while saying that okay, they have access to this more than I do. So peer pressure is one. And what should be the next? I would say parental too. Parents who have a lot of things to do when it comes to owning these gadgets. Of course, growing up, many youths want to go into different things, but when they're not being motivated, when they're not being supported, they're unable to achieve that. At the long run, they have this picture in mind. You see them deviating into something because of peer pressure. Back to that, and that is why I feel parents have to like encourage and support their children's dream, and because by supporting their dream, you are helping them make a pathway to.
Right. So fair enough. So just to begin to round up now in terms of solutions, you've already profiled a few. I don't know if you can speak a bit more on the PPP you spoke about, how that could work. And then also there's an aspect to this, especially in developing nations, that confuses people. Let me not mention names, but sometimes you see certain leaders in the government say, I have this idea, I'm going to build artificial intelligence and I'm going to revolutionize the country. And sometimes they're going to place that artificial intelligence center in the middle of a village or something. And the people will go there, they will loot, they will take the things sometimes and sell it for like 0.1% of what it's worth. Because what they are saying is, I haven't eaten, I don't even have lights, I don't have power supply. And you're telling me about artificial intelligence. What is artificial intelligence? So the question now is, can the push for more digitalization work hand in hand with other basic needs? Because some people are saying, why are you worried about the future? You haven't eaten, and other people are saying, we can do the two at the same time. So where do you think this falls in, especially for developing nations? Because developing countries are doing quite well with how they are managing the two, or even managing just one, because they don't have the other problem anymore. So what would your advice be to policymakers, leaders, and all of that, who have these lofty ideas, but the situation on ground, the reality, doesn't seem to favor it?
Awesome, thank you so much. Couple of the recent happenings in the country, I get to like have an handful knowledge of what's happening. When it comes to talk about AI, digitalizing the country, making sure AI is not in its right, the new wave in the state and the country, and having to situate the innovation lab in another country where, of course, yeah. So I would say the government needs to of course, I know they have the data, right? And just try not to make it look as if favoritism to some parts and not some parts will affect the policy. Putting the policy is good, is easy, but implementation is hard because of the executors or people who are executing the policy. Because when it directly affects, okay, I'm in charge of this policy, I'm to implement it, I'll consider my own people. However, your people are not the right audience. So what do? You give to the right audience. With that, you are solving the real problem. But we're not giving these resources to your people and taking it to your people without your people being the right audience. You lose out on a lot because the impact will not be there. And still on policy, when policy are being created, right? I feel they need to imbibe the data the locations, and this location should be well vetted before executing. Because if you don't vet this location, you end up having recurrences of looting, getting things away from where we feel it's best to be. So, for PPP partnerships and the likes, we feel that when private organizations, approach public organizations for partnership, they already have their data, they already have their base, they already have where they want to execute this initiative. Unlike the government who, I don't know, they have maybe less hands to make it effective. But this private, because they're all in for profits, they know the right place, the right audience, the right place, the right information. They also have a team who are heavily grounded in R&D, in R&D. So they carry out this research, and then when it comes to the question, they have the data, the facts, right? So when the PPP are in place and they are approaching this, they know the right audience. But if it's thanks to the government to now in a way invite or create an avenue where private can approach them, let's say, and open the policy where they can easily approach them and then look at the agendas they have, look at the programs they have, look at the projects they have ongoing, and see how the privates can take over those positions.
Thank you very much, Stephen. We run out of time now, but this has been very enlightening, and it's been a pleasure having you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
That's how we end this segment of the program. We've been speaking with Stephen Adache. He is a tech expert and very knowledgeable on the issue of digital inclusion, which has been the topic of the day. We're going to break now. When we return, we'll delve into verified voices, so we get to see what the stakeholders are saying on this issue of digital inclusion and closing the digital divide. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Every day, amazing stories of hope and tenacity unfold across the globe. On Hude Hour, we dive into these inspiring tales and discuss the vital work being done in the humanitarian and development space. Humanity has never faced a shortage of challenges, yet we rise stronger through teamwork and determination. Though these remedies are often underreported, on Hude Hour, we advocate sustainable solutions. We bring you the latest and most impactful news on how lives are being changed. We engage with young change makers and experts who provide valuable insights into relief efforts and the challenges faced by local communities through a global perspective. Join us every Wednesday by 8 a.m. on Hude Network's YouTube channel as we embark on this journey of positive change.
Hey everyone, let's face it, our world today experiences numerous challenges. And guess what? Our community isn't off the hook either. Most of the world issues are either not talked about enough or never talked about at all. But here on Timeline, we've got you covered. We dive deep into issues that affect us every day, leaving behind footprints of wisdom, knowledge, and solutions. Think of it like a roadmap that keeps you on the track for success. So buckle up, because in this new season of Timeline, we're taking another trip through the past, the present, and navigate into a more promising future. Again, we're talking solutions, people. And let's make one thing clear. This is not your average blah 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 convo. This is real talk with a side of inspiration and a sprinkle of wow. I never thought about it like that. I'm your host on this impactful ride. Together, we'll tackle the tough stuff, laugh a little, and find ourselves on the path to positive change. So what are you waiting for? Season 2 of Timeline will be loaded. Let's get started. Hop in and let's drive straight into the heart of issues shaping our world. Let's go. Oh, one more thing. Hit that subscribe button and let's take this ride together.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Hude Hour on Hude Network. We have been talking on the issue of digital inclusion, bridging the digital divide. Right now, we are on our Verified Voices segment, where we take a look at what the key stakeholders in the sector have to say on the issue at hand. So let's take a look at our first verified voice. We are from the ITU, that's the International Telecommunication Union. It says, for many, the digital promise is still a virtual dream. Bridging the digital divide is not only an economic necessity, but a moral and humanitarian imperative, and fundamental for achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. That's coming from Antonio Gutierrez, the Secretary General of the United Nations. Well, it's an interesting one. He says that it's not just about economy, it's about being the morality of it and also about being humanitarian. And that's actually the way the world is going, that you cannot take away the digital aspect. And also where he says it's imperative for ensuring the SDGs are brought into fruition. So that's how important digital is. Yeah.
You're absolutely correct. Let's move straight up to the next news item. The next verified voice we have. All right, this is coming from World Bank. Generative AI, Gen AI, in the Latin America and the Caribbean region could automate 2 to 5% of jobs and enhance the productivity of 8 to 14% of jobs. The big question is, how can government address LAC's digital divide to maximize Gen AI's potential for inclusive growth? We can also see a pictorial representation of a woman. This is also coming from International Labour Organization and ILO. And we have a short note there. Overall, a total of 26 to 38% of jobs in Latin America and the Caribbean could be exposed to generative AI. And also, Gen AI could result in a productivity enhancing transformation of 8 to 14% of jobs. Well, we're talking about productivity, we're talking about enhancement, we're talking about exposure. And this is what Gen AI is prone to do. And the big question we had there was, what is the government going to do about the whole digital divide? There should be digital equity in the world. So it's very important.
Indeed, the World Bank is saying there that AI can create jobs and also enhance jobs. So let's take a look now at the next verified voice we have there. From the OECD, we have, what are the main concerns related to technology use with young children? Physical and social emotional harms, threats to privacy, digital divide. Find out how we protect and empower young children in the digital age. You can see the link there. And this just goes to show that we need to move with the times. As long as just as the benefits are coming, potential challenges and issues are also arising, and it's good to be prepared so that we're not taken, off, by surprise when these things start to emerge and affect children and other vulnerable groups.
Yeah, this is just a call for us to be alert. In as much as it gives us a good aspect of it, we should also be prepared for the negative aspect of it. And in the spirit of preparation, we should provide solutions on how to tackle it. I think in this aspect of children, this is where we bring about parental guidance, the whole restriction. Children should have access to technology, but there should be limits to it, at least till they get to a certain age. Let's move to the final verified voice that we have. And this is coming from United Nations Development, UNDP, says girls and STEM equals infinite possibilities. At UNDP China, with the help of local NGOs and volunteers, initiated her Digital Future, a youth program aiming to bridge the digital divide and promote girls' engagement in science, technology, engineering, and math. Okay, this is a very good news for me as a woman. I feel, when I was asking the guest concerning the disparities, how women don't really have access to equipment, digital equipment, and all that, the internet connection and all that. So it's very important for, or I see it as the right decision for people involved to make girls involved in technology, math, science, and all that, to make sure to carry them along, because I feel and I know that women have more and more to offer in this
Indeed,
digital system.
indeed, and that's a wonderful way to end the program. On this note, I will say goodbye for now. Don't forget that this is Hude Hour, where we take a look at issues within the humanitarian and development space. Do join us once again while we bring to you more of that. Have a nice day and a nice time. I am Amadi.
And I am Joe Neze. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye for now.